L beat. I'm trying, bro. I heard that you can't even say top G. Like, it's kind of cringe calling him top G. I've heard that you can't really say it without getting banned or something. I'm just gonna say anyway. Yeah, I've not been keeping up with Andrew Tate's content or anything for a while. I was very much consuming a lot of it a month ago, 2 months ago, especially when I was in Thailand when I was with Sam as well. So I've not been keeping up to date much, and seeing Andrew Tate blow up as well, I've not really spoken much about it. So I was just gonna go through this message now and just give you my sort of unfiltered opinion of everything that's going on. I've watched probably about 10 minutes of this message here. You can see the Andrew Tate one. I watched about 10-15 minutes when he's telling the story about how he was getting bullied. So I'm going to do this stream, and then I'm going to look through the comments, and especially when the stream gets like uploaded onto my channel, to see what the response is, because I've been uncertain of whether or not live streaming is actually valuable. Like, is discourse between me and these guys, is me sort of responding and giving you my opinions of it, is that a valuable thing? That's what I want to find out. So we'll do it for today, and then I'll look through some of the comments, and if a bunch of people just say like, oh, it's not really valuable, it's just entertainment, then I probably won't do it. But let's go. This is Andrew Tate's final message. He was banned from, I believe, Instagram and also TikTok, or he's never had a TikTok, but he's banned from Instagram and maybe Twitter as well, but definitely from Instagram. A bunch of people did a sort of like a viral tweet or whatever the fuck it was. I don't keep up to date with social media shit, but essentially there was like a petition, a viral petition to ban him. And this is relevant to my own personal life. Very relevant. I wasn't really going to speak about this right now, but I may as well. This is very relevant to my own personal life, because one of my ex-best friends, who I've just made a video about, also shared that Instagram post, I think it is. There's an Instagram post saying to ban Andrew Tate. One of my ex-best friends shared it. I only knew this. I don't have social media myself, but I only knew this because a mutual friend told me about him sharing it. And when I had the final conversation with one of my recent best friends, who I considered a brother, he betrayed me. And one of the reasons why he did so was because he didn't like Andrew Tate, and he kind of put us into the same bucket and said, oh, he's a misogynist and everything, and your views on women are so bad. I don't think men and women are I don't think men are more superior than women, and like, oh, you're horrible towards women, and all this bullshit that he was saying. And in our conversation, me and my ex-best friend, I didn't show any level of emotion. All I did was honestly lose so much fucking respect for the guy that I had built so much of like a brotherly friendship with. Yeah, I'll discuss more about that as we go through
I was
this
thinking
video.
for a long time how to start this video, because it needs to be concise and compendious, but I also want it to be very, very comprehensive. And I guess the best place to start is at the beginning. There's been many different versions of my life story, which have been put on the internet as of late and from many years ago. But I'm going to give a very, very quick overview of my story. My life has always been difficult. I've certainly had a difficult life. I preach to the people who follow me that, as a man, trauma and difficulty is extremely important, because it's the building blocks for mental fortitude and physical fortitude.
I totally agree with that point. Me and not the friend that I've just mentioned, but another good friend of mine in the gym, we just spoke about this just yesterday. He made like a casual joke about someone else, that we were saying, oh, someone's not like working hard. And my friend said to me, he was like, he doesn't have trauma like us. When you have trauma like us, you have like this burning desire to achieve. And I think you guys watching this have probably experienced that. Like, if you've been through hard times, you have the capability to become a strong man. Some people crumble under hard times, and some people use it as an opportunity when they see that the obstacle is the way. That's a fantastic book, by the way. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. So that's what Andrew Tate's saying here, that he's had a hard life that's allowed him the opportunity to mold himself into becoming a strong man, which I can't help but respect. I've stayed very silent about Andrew Tate. I've barely mentioned him, like here and there, very few times. And, you know, there's so much controversy around him. One of the things that I've always wanted to say, I don't even know, maybe I've been a pussy all this time and I've just not really spoken up. Maybe I should have, but like, I've always fucking liked him, man. I don't know if that's like controversial or some shit to say. I've always really fucking liked him. And this is where everyone will be like, oh, well, not everything he says. Bro, there's a lot of things I can think of my mind that has become a positive impact because of his work. Like, he's blown up on social media. He's spread a message of masculinity, and of strength, and of intolerance. And intolerance is how you grow to become strong. This is like the epitome of a strong masculine man, and I can't help but to respect that. And of course he triggers your emotions. Of course he triggers the emotions of millions of people, but that's what a strong man's job, not really a strong man's job is, but that is just the modern society around us is unappreciative of like these strong male archetypes, because they're not totally needed by the vast majority of the population just yet. When there's a war breaking out, you're gonna want this guy on your side, but there isn't like a war breaking out in the West just yet. But I've said before, very recently, that I think the hard times are here, but not in the sake of war, but more so in the mental struggle that young men are going through with depression, with mental illnesses. The hard times have already started for so many of us who have been depressed for like years and years and years, living shitty lives that we haven't liked, with loneliness. And here we have a guy who's spread out a very positive, inspirational message that hundreds of thousands of young men are saying has helped them. And I will be one of them as well to say, yes, he's helped me. And the biggest thing for me personally is what he has done for my friend Sam. Sam, his YouTube, let me show you his YouTube. His name is Harbonator. This is my best friend, and like I see this guy as my brother, Sam. What Andrew Tate's message has done to Sam to actually give him a level of fucking confidence about himself, to like start seeing himself as a man. It's an incredible thing seeing like your best friend, who was previously a very like weak boy, like raised with like single mom and everything, to turn into a guy who's actually got some level of fucking like balls about him now. I can't help but respect Sam, and I can't help but be appreciative for the guys that have helped Sam become who he is today. And Andrew Tate is a big role model for him, and so is the CEO of Testosterone Jack. He's done a lot for him as well. Anyone who like helps Sam, I can't help but like respect them and like really like them, because like that's my fucking brother. This guy, his name's Jack. We met him in Thailand. He became a good friend of mine and Sam. And he actually put us way more onto Andrew Tate. So of course I had heard of Andrew Tate before this, but he was the one really saying like, wow, like, you know, I love his message. Like, you should watch more and more of it and everything. He was telling us to watch more of it. And that's when my mind really started to formulate on seeing Andrew Tate as like more of a positive role model, at least for myself and for Sam, who was next to me.
So I'm very, very happy that my life is too difficult, because it's impossible to become a capable man, or a man of my capability, without struggling with facing serious adversities, without trying to overcome often insurmountable odds. I grew up in south side of Chicago. I'm obviously a person of color. I was bullied in school to a degree, and my father always taught me to stick up for myself. I was never allowed to run and cry to authority. I was told that if someone wants to mess with you or come at you, you can't always go tell the teacher. Sometimes you have to deal with it. I was actually picked on by these two kids when I was riding the school bus home. I think I was around 5 and they were around 7. They were a bit older than me, and they used to pick on me on the school bus. They'd sit behind me, throw things at me, hit me, etc. And I came home and I told my dad about it. I said, Dad, these 2 kids are picking on me every single time I get the school bus. I don't know what to do. And my dad said, I'm not going to call the teacher because the teacher ain't on the bus. I'm not going to call the school bus driver because they're busy driving. Son, if you want to deal with this, you're going to have to deal with it yourself. And I said, but Dad, they're bigger than me. What do you want me to do? There's 2 of them and they're bigger than me. And at the time, I'd just come home from school and I was holding a lunchbox. And my dad pointed and said, you have a lunchbox, son? Teach them. So weeks had passed. It was a few weeks. They kept picking on me, and I felt myself sitting there getting more insecure, and the rage was boiling inside of me. And one day, one of them slapped me in the side of the face from behind. I was sitting on the chair. He slapped me in the face from behind. And instantly, I don't know what it was, but this was the day I had enough. And I turned with my lunchbox and swung it over the back of the school bus chair and caught him and busted his eye clean open. Plastic Batman lunchbox. Hit him in the eye.
How do you feel about this story so far? Andrew Tate as a kid is getting bullied. He's getting hit. He's getting assaulted by like kids who are bigger than him, and 2 kids as well. And finally, he's defended himself. Is that so far just what we've been told here? And of course, you know, is this true or not? We can break that into an argument as well. But just if we imagine that this is a true story, is this positive or negative for you? Because with the conditioning that we've been through in school, I remember that this would be an incredibly negative thing, that you're not allowed to defend yourself. You're supposed to go run to the teacher to help you. Always wait for the authority to come and deal with your problems. It's a very like feminine way that we were raised in school. It's like, nope, put your hand up and tell the teacher. Face social how'd you say that word? Ostracization, where like you'll be made an outcast if you're seen as a snitch if you tell this teacher like, oh, you know, these guys are picking on me. Or do you deal with it? How I'm imagining when I was a kid and I was going through problems similar, and like chances are you're watching this, like you probably experienced shit just like this. You probably experienced, like, you know, you were young, just some random fucking little kid picking on you. And of course now we're older, we understand that kid who was picking on you had trauma at home. He was getting abused, maybe sexually assaulted at home. That's why kids really act out in these areas, is because generally they're always getting abused at home, and so they kind of like unleash that same power dynamic in school, but to someone lower than them. But at that time, when there is a threat in front of you, when you're getting assaulted, and of course you're 5 years old, they're 7 years old, it's only like a child version of assault, it fucks it absolutely fucks your self-esteem. Like, I don't know if you've been like bullied before, if you've been the victim of racism. I've experienced a lot of racism in my life. Like, we moved to the UK when I was 3 years old. I was the only, like, we were the only brown kids in the school. I think there was like one other brown or black kid in like my primary school, my high school and stuff. Like, in my high school, maybe like a couple of brown families, but so like dispersed. And the amount of shit that I went through and the amount of times that all I heard was like, oh yeah, make sure you go run to the teacher and tell them that, you know, to tell off the other kid. And those times where I listened to that, you know, some kid hit me or like called me a packy or any of this stuff. And I went to the teacher, and, you know, the teacher would generally take it pretty seriously, write it down, and, you know, like, I'd see the student getting pulled out of class. But after that, when that same student would be coming back into class and say, oh yeah, Hamza snitched on me, and then you're like that social outcast where, like, you're a little bitch, you went to the teacher instead of dealing it with yourself. I don't know if this is like if this is a bad thing to say, but I would tell my child to do in that situation. The thing is, my son would never be in that situation. This is a very off-topic rant, but like, my children are not going to fucking normal schools. I have the huge privilege that I've worked very hard at this age, that I'll be extremely wealthy when I do have children, so they'll be homeschooled. I am not sending my child to like some normal ass school where they're getting conditioned by these like teachers to become more feminine, to give up their masculinity, but also to be put in a class which is inducing trauma inside of them, which is conductive towards bullying and harassment. I think back to my time in the education system, and it's so fucking like negative. And of course there was like some positive, oh, you know, we got to make friends and stuff. Like, the smallest, like the lowest hanging fruit is like, oh yeah, well, we had some fun times. A waste of fucking time, man. And I remember, like, there was so many days like I would pretend to be sick. How interesting is that like there was hundreds of days where I would pretend to be sick and hopefully take the day off school. Why is that such a common thing for like young boys to try and do, for young boys to want to skip school? Like, we don't want to go there, we don't feel safe there, we don't feel happy there, we feel like we're going against our natural impulse when we're sat inside school, this classroom. You're told to like sit still, be quiet, don't do anything, don't talk to your friends, and like learn in this feminine way. And then there's a boy who hasn't failed that same shit test, who's being loud and arrogant and stuff, and he's like bullying you. And I don't even blame that fucking boy. The whole system of the education system is very, very corrupt.
And blood started squirting everywhere. All the children started screaming. And as I did this, the bus had just come up to a stop. It was a few stops before my stop, but it had stopped. And as the bus stopped and the screaming happened, I just got up and I just ran off the bus and ran home. I've never run so fast or so far in my life. I was full of adrenaline. I just ran. When I got home, I had blood on my clothes, and my dad looked at me. He said, what happened? And I said, that kid, I won't say his name, I said his name at the time. I said, that kid, he hit me in the face, and I had enough of getting hit in the face. And I was still holding the lunchbox, but it was all smashed up where I'd hit him with it. And my dad kind of smiled a little bit and said, don't worry, son, get in the car. We got in the car and we went to Walmart. We walked up and down the aisle, and he looked and picked up another lunchbox, an exact replica of the same blue Batman lunchbox, gave it to me and said, I'll buy you as many of these as you need. And that was the last we spoke of it. Funnily enough, I never saw that kid again. I don't know if he changed schools. I don't know what his parents did.
You know, that reminds me of one of the kids who would be like a bully, like a racist bully towards me. The only time I actually got respect from people in my class, like I was like that little skinny brown kid just getting picked on and everything. I remember that there was one significant moment where I got the respect of like people who were in the more popular group in primary school. So maybe I'm like 11 years old, and this little racist prick, this little kid, I'm the referee in the football game. No, not the referee. I'm the goalie. So I'm stood in goal. I've got to like block the ball from getting past me. So I'm stood there, and he keeps like coming up behind me and pushing me, and he pushes me over like 3-4 times, and it fucking hurts. I fall on my knees, my hands there. I remember they started getting bloodied up, and I was such a fucking pussy that I did nothing about it. Like, I wouldn't even kind of look at him. I didn't even want that confrontation. But then one time, the enemy team, is that what you even call them? The other team, they're getting close with the ball, and one of the guys scores, and everyone, like all the players are quite close to the goal, you know, because there was a bunch of like kicking around right here. Then they score, so I let the ball go past me. They score, and everyone's like, oh, you know, whatever, like, oh, Hamza let the ball through. And then that same fucking kid trips me up one more time, but this time everyone's around, and I get like so, you know, I don't know what, it's that same phrase everyone uses at this point where it's like something just comes over you and like enough is enough. And I remember just running up to him, putting him into like a dangerous fucking headlock, tears down my face, drop us to the floor, and I'm just not letting go, and like the teacher's trying to pull my arm away, and I'm literally like suffocating him inside of my, like, headlocks were my favorite. Not till I was an adult, but I've never actually thrown like strikes at anyone, but I would always just get these little dumbass kids into like these racist ass kids into a headlock. And I remember like he was like screaming, crying and everything. He couldn't breathe. Like, he was panicky. The teacher was trying to pull us off. I was literally just holding on for dear fucking life, tears down my face. And as soon as like the teachers stopped us and, like everything kind of like the commotion stopped a bit, I literally remember one of the kids who wasn't really my friend, who never, didn't really have much respect for me, look me in the eyes with almost awe and say like, wow, Hamza, I didn't know you could fight like that. That one time where I actually stood up for myself and stopped being a fucking pussy, I got the respect of my peers. Essentially, I did the opposite of what was advised to me. I was always advised to sit still, not do anything, tell the teacher.
But I never saw that child again. So even from a very, very young age, I was taught that going to authority and crying and hoping someone else is going to fix your problems is not the way a man should conduct himself. When I left Chicago, I moved to Luton, England, which was multiple times voted the worst town in England. It's a high crime rate. It's a very bad area. My mother and father broke up, so I was in a single mother household. And now I'm a person of color in a single mother household. I'm also the only American at the time in Luton. And I had, again, repeat problems in school. I was picked on for being the only American. I was picked on for not knowing things I should have known because I hadn't been through the English educational system. I'd been through the American educational system. And I had trouble in school again, but I stuck up for myself. Fortunately, nothing got violent at any point. When people made fun of me, I stood up and said, listen, don't make fun of me. I'm from a different place and I talk differently. And I always understood that standing up for yourself, I never went to the teacher, I never cried to anybody else. I just stood up for myself. And over time, people learned respect for me and my boundaries, and they were very respectful of me. And I had a very positive experience from then on out in school by simply standing up for myself, because this is how I was taught to act. In high school, I ended up having a reputation of a guy that nobody really messed with. I certainly wasn't a bully. Absolutely the opposite, but no one really picked on me. I actually had a friend in school who was gay. I had 5 main friends in school, and I was also friends with a gay guy. And he would make fun of me for being American, and I would make fun of him for being gay back then. But the world was a very, very different place. This is many, many years ago. And we had friendly banter back and forth, but we were very good friends, and I stuck up for him and prevented anyone else picking on him all of the time. And the banter between us, the locker room talk, which would be considered absolutely unacceptable today, at the time was very, very normal. And we had a great time. We were good friends. And I heard from him, actually, after this ban. And he said, you should mention the fact that the things they say about you completely aren't true. And this leads me on to the reason I believe these narratives have managed to gain such a foothold in popular consciousness.
You know what he's just spoke about there is something I think a lot of young guys aren't really aware of. Is a core component of masculinity is criticizing your friends. Feminine women, and I don't say this as an insult, but it's kind of like a stereotype that like feminine women gossip a lot. When they gossip, they're not doing it for the sake of the, like, imagine there's a group of women and they're gossiping about this woman here. They're saying, oh, she's a slut. They're saying bad things about her. They're not doing this for her self-improvement. They're not doing this to help her, are they? They're doing this to almost like push her aside to kind of conduct a sense of group values. So it's almost quite treacherous. But for men, we criticize men in our tribe for the sake of self-improvement. We men come into this group together. There is no man out here. We're in this group together, and we say to this guy, oh, you're fat. And we don't say this to be horrible. We're saying this to test him. We're saying this to like spike something inside of him to see how secure he is in himself. We say this to another guy about his job, about something. We just criticize our friends. There's a chapter in The Way of the Superior Man that explains this a lot better than I could do for you, but we criticize our friends to see their areas of improvement and to also see how secure they are. And the more masculine you become, the more you relish, the more you like crave this masculine criticism from your friends. I love it when my close friends criticize me. It's deeply important. It's deeply important. Either they would criticize you about something that you're insecure about, and then that will like cause some thoughts that occur in your mind to think, okay, shit, I need to change something because clearly like that thing that my friend has just criticized me for is somewhat true. Or they will criticize you about something that you are totally secure about, and that will make you feel even more secure. When I was 17 years old, I had low quality friends. They criticized me for going to the gym for weightlifting. I was so secure in the fact that weightlifting and building muscle was a good thing that it didn't change my mind, that I was still going to go and lift weights. But then there's been so many things, like for example my dress sense, that would get criticized, and it would occur in my mind, I would be like, oh yeah, like I'm not actually good at fashion, like I'm not good at like buying clothes or something, so like they're probably right because these guys are a bit more fashionable, so what should I wear? Then I'm asking them for advice. They've just criticized what I'm wearing. I feel a little bit insecure in that. And I'm like, oh yeah, so there is some truth to that. So what Andrew Tate was just saying about him and his gay friend, they would criticize each other and they were both secure in what they were talking about. He would criticize his gay friend for being gay, and his gay friend was so secure in that that's who he is, that he didn't have like a level of insecurity or like hatred towards that. You, as you develop yourself, will start to make friends with more masculine guys, and you'll notice that they'll like actually criticize some things about you. And you know what's interesting? That same friend, like I'm gonna keep mentioning him, even though like he's it's a fucking long story, man. But there's this friend who has betrayed me recently. He never criticized me. Can you guess why? I'm gonna read the comments. Can you guess why that is? Well, I've just told you. I've just taught you about masculine criticism. He never criticized me like that. Can you guess why that would be the case? I'd be very interested to see if anyone gets the right answer. Why did my friend who've just betrayed me never criticized me? He wasn't masculine enough. Do you know what he did instead of criticizing me for the sake of my improvements? He wasn't part of this circle, this masculine circle. He got into more of this feminine circle, and they gossiped about me instead. They gossiped about me and said, oh yeah, he's not part of our group's values. It's very interesting. Like feminine men who display quite a high level of like feminine values, they will gossip about you, but not for your own sake. A masculine man will look you in the face, like your best friend will look you in the face and say, you're being pathetic. He will say something that like is so harsh to your face, but then guess what? That same masculine man will go behind your back and tell everyone he is a sick guy. I love him so much. Do you know the shit that I say to Sam's face? How many times I insult him, I swear at him, everything. And then think about how I talk to you about my friend Sam. Never a bad word out of my mouth, unless if it's about like his previous life a few years ago, where I'm telling you the difference between his life. But I speak so highly of him when he's not around. A masculine man will criticize you to your face and show you nothing but respect. When he's like gossiping about you, he'll only say good things about you. You'll leave the room and he will compliment you. A feminine man will only say good things about you to your face. He'll never criticize you to your face. And as soon as you're not there, they'll gossip about you. Now that I know the full story, if I told you the shit that this friend did to me, bro, holy fuck. It fucking hurts, man. I've been journaling. This is a side rant, but there's something I've been doing recently, which is journaling principles for life. Every time I experience some kind of mistake, problem, setback, failure, I journal and really break down the reason why and then the learning lesson. And then I really clarified that in my journal. I have a separate journal for this, which is like a principle for life. And I'm just tallying up these principles. And so one of them, a new principle that I've added to this sort of principle journal: do not trust feminine men.
Due to the fact I've managed to develop an iron mind, because I'm probably the only individual on earth who can be vilified to this level without taking personal insult and without being emotionally affected, what I've done is I've allowed certain narratives to gain traction, which I shouldn't have allowed to gain traction, because they didn't personally bother me, because I know they are false. I live with a very, very pure heart. I'm a religious man. I go to church, and anyone who follows me in detail knows I donate huge sums of money to the church. And as long as I knew the truth of my heart and God knew the truth of my heart, I wasn't interested in lies being purported. I now understand that's wrong, because even though I've done nothing wrong, even though it doesn't emotionally affect me, even though God and myself know my innocence, the public consciousness has been polluted to a point where narratives are being purported which are absolutely and utterly false. And it's having a genuine negative impact on the people who I care about and the people who care about me. And despite the fact it doesn't emotionally affect me, as a man, I have a duty to protect all of those I love. And for this reason, these narratives have started to become very, very harmful. I was under understanding that on the internet, people don't like you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you say. There's going to be some people who don't like you, and the people who don't like you are not interested in the truth. What they're interested in is finding some lie that they can latch onto and accelerating that lie on as much as possible via their platforms to try and paint a negative picture of you because they don't like you. A lot of these attacks against me are disguised under the virtue of caring about women. But none of these people who are attacking me care about women. None of them donate to women's charities. None of them donate to charity like I do. None of them help anybody like I do. I'm about to show later on in this video proof of the massive work I do for helping people. They don't help anybody. All they do is just attack me and use fake virtue, the fact they pretend to care.
It's so easy to criticize a man in this space of like men's self-improvement, the manosphere, the red pill, to say that, you know, they hate women. And I've had the same criticism to myself. And I always just think like, have you not watched my videos? If you criticize me for hating women, for thinking women are inferior to men, do you not see how much effort I have put into myself to develop myself, to be a better man to attract like a good woman. My channel's like the underlying theme for every part of my self-improvement. It's so many guys have criticized me and saying like, oh, you know, don't do it for women, do it for yourself. The underlying theme for all of the hard work that I've done is that I want to improve myself so that I can be like that perfect father, that perfect husband. These guys who criticize me and like, oh, you know, like he's sexist, he's misogynist. They don't know how much work we're actually putting in to become like better for our future partners. When you think about the stuff you're doing here, you're journaling, meditating, exercising every day, improving your diet, all of this stuff we're doing to improve ourselves makes us into better partners for the women that we eventually get with. That is a gift that we've been preparing for years. But people will think you're sexist because you think the traditional way of things is probably a little bit better than the modern way.
As a reason to attack somebody who they personally don't like. And it's very, very different to actually care about an issue or weaponize an issue and pretend to care to try and damage someone else's life. These are very, very different things. And this is the reason why I have not tried to dispel these myths as hard as I could have, because I understood that these people are always going to hate me and they're always going to lie about me, no matter what I say or do. But considering in light of the final ban, and considering I have a public consciousness, I think it's extremely important that for myself and for my family and for people I care about, that I tell the truth and I make the truth known to the world, because that is the only intention in my video, is to sit and tell the truth. And the fact that I'm a very, very iron-minded individual who is not negatively affected by these smear campaigns is not reason enough for me not to sit, take time, and dispel all the negative things which are said about me. I am fully aware that not everybody is going to agree with what I say. I don't think there's a person on the planet you can find who has a 100% approval rate. There's always going to be somebody who disagrees with what you say. If I said the earth was round, there would be a contingent of individuals on the planet who disagree with me. I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. I have no problem with being seen as controversial for some of the things I've said. However, I do have two significant problems I would like to address. The first is I do not like absolute and utter lies being told about me. I do not like having long-form video of me cut up, elements taken out of context, the tonality of the joke removed, and purporting an image of me that is not true. That's something I do not like. I do not like false accusations of criminal activity. That's another thing that I really do not like. I am totally aware that not everybody is going to like me. I have no problems with that. I think anyone who decides to get big on the internet needs to be very, very prepared for a contingent of people to not be happy with what they say. I could make a YouTube channel dedicated to the fact that I believe the world is round, and there would be a large or semi-large proportion of people who would disagree with me. I don't think there's a single creator online that has a 100% approval rate. I have a lot of people who love what I say. I have a lot of fans. A lot of people are dedicated to my channel, and I have a lot of positivity online. And I have a small contingent of people who are very, very offended by what I say. We often talk about, in the modern world, the inclusivity of different cultures, different ways of life, different sexual orientations, and how we need to be tolerant and understanding of all these different people's life paths, and by extension, their different ways of viewing the world. I'm a unique individual, as is everybody else, and I have a unique life path that has led me to unique points of view. I think that all of the people who disagree with me are very, very welcome to disagree with me because they have had a unique life path and a different point of view, and I respect that absolutely. I would never shout for any of the people who disagree with anything I say to be silenced or canceled, because I don't think that helps the world. I think that discourse is always going to be the way that we lead ourselves to the truth. And if anybody has anything...
So I watched 12 minutes of this this video before I started live streaming. And it's that sentence he said that like discourse, conversation or debate between two people with opposing views to come together respectfully, to come to like some kind of agreement or, you know, to discuss their ideas. That's why I just started this live stream, and I thought, I've always held off discourse and debates. I've done very, very little of that for my entire like YouTube career because I've always thought it's a bit more like dopamine. It's a bit more, you know, it's controversy. It's like, oh, like me versus Nico and me versus Andrew Tate and stuff. And so you get more views and you get more growth. It's a lot of people are quite interested in that, but I've always thought it's like, oh, it's like low hanging fruit. It's like dopamine shit. But then just what he said there, and I actually thought, wait, like if I debate my point in a very respectful way against someone who disagrees with my point, then you may see an argument for what I preach, but in a different light, which just spikes something in your brain that makes something click, and it's actually very valuable. So I will be looking at the comments of this full live stream when it's uploaded, and hopefully like some people will give me their thoughts on this. I don't want to make content that's entirely just clickbait and like dopamine filled and everything, but I think there is some real value in seeing like this, like essentially like I'm adding on, or you know, I'm giving my opinion onto what Andrew Tate is saying here, and then we've got a video for Sneeko that we'll go through as well. So I wonder if there is value in that. It does seem like there would be, but I want my boys to sort of confirm that as well.
Contrary to say about any of my points of view, I welcome it, I like to hear it, and as long as it's in a respectful and adult manner, I often platform it on my platforms as much as possible so I can sit and discuss And I can learn things. Because if I have a point of view and someone challenges it in a very adult, correct, logical way, very often I've changed my point of view. And this has been really, really good for me as a person to grow and for the audience to grow. And I know I've changed many other people's minds when they've come to debate with me. And this is the beauty of being human. So I have no problem with being disliked. I do have a problem with a few things. I have a problem with long format things I've said being taken out of context, taking a small clip from a 2-hour piece of video, then with careful editing, removing of tonality, and changing my intention behind the words, painting me to be a criminal or a bad person when I'm not. I do have a problem with false criminal accusations when I do not have a criminal record, and I have never had a criminal record in any country on the planet. I do have a problem with this. And also I have a problem with the fact that social media has changed so much in modern times. A lot of the things I said that are being used against me were said 5 or 6 years ago in long format video. And as of late, with TikTok, with YouTube Shorts, with Instagram Reels, it's very, very easy to take 2 hours of video, snip out 10 seconds, edit it up quickly on a phone app, and then blow it up to millions and millions of views with all context removed, all tonality removed, and makes it look like I'm saying things I did not say or I mean things I did not mean. And this is something that I can't control. I became the most Googled man on the planet, and to a degree I'm a victim of my own success, because now people are trying to find any little clip of anything I've ever said, remove all the tonality, and just blow it up to try and get views to be as controversial as possible. I understand why they're doing that.
I don't know if I totally agree with what he's just saying recently. I mean, I agree with what he's saying, but I'm almost seeing like a little bit of a victim mindset, because I believe, from my understanding so far, is that him and his team have instigated this entire sort of TikTok marketing strategy where, you know, people will come in, take clips of him, and then post it to TikTok with the affiliate link to Hustlers University. So it's kind of like, he's a very smart guy, so I'm sure they would have assumed, well, yeah, people are going to go through your old videos and do this. So I think he should have been prepared for this. Like, this was his marketing strategy overall, was to get people to, like, you know, go through your old videos and to take clips of it. The effect of that can obviously be quite consequential if, like, First Man, the YouTuber First Man, just said this on his video as well, where even First Man, so he's never said anything truly, like, offensive or sexist or anything, but he's just said on a video just recently.
Like, they're just chopping up clips.
Yeah.
Okay, you just get people doing that. Now, I'd like to encourage you guys who are involved in the affiliate.
So what happened to this YouTuber I really like, First Man? He started the affiliate program as well, just like Andrew Tate, and he got people to cut up his clips and put it all over TikTok. And a lot of them are just about, like, you know, fitness and men's self-improvement, but of course some of them are about dating and women. And a couple of them went viral, the ones about women. And then he's had quite like a backlash in his personal life. I won't say like who particularly, you know, that's for him, and maybe you can go watch this video, but like people in his personal life have been affected because of that sort of short snippet video being sent around. And this is something I think we're going to see a lot more of. I think we're going to see a lot of people getting backlash from things that they've said, but that have went viral out of context into short clips all over TikTok. I think we're going to see this more and more. You might see this with me as well. You might see like a video of mine, like an old video of mine, maybe go viral, and a lot of like viral in a bad way that a lot of people are like, oh my God, you know, cancel this Packy.
For themselves, but they're not taking into consideration how that affects me and my personal image as a whole. And I think the things I've just highlighted has now culminated in the media believing something about me which is so pertinently false, based on videos that I have never even made, purported and accelerated and advertised by people who I don't even know, with such a small piece of video from me, with all context removed, that I've now become the #1 villain of Earth. And I truly believe that's unjust. And I want to discuss that here and prove to the world in my final message that I am not any of the things I've been accused of, regardless of whether I am banned, reinstated, remain on social media, is completely beside the point. This is just a matter of clearing the air while I have the national consciousness. I was massively a victim of my own success. I decided to accelerate my public persona and presence about 6 months ago. And I was massively successful. I became the most Googled man on the planet. I am, by the metrics of the internet, the most famous individual who is currently alive in the world today. That comes with a bunch of advantages and disadvantages. We can go into those at depth. The disadvantages are safety aspects, safety concerns, which we're going to talk about a bit later. I've had serious threats on my life.
You know, it took me a while to process that, but what he's just said, he showed the Google search results, and then he just gave that statement that he is essentially the most famous man on the planet today. And I was just in the car with a guy who goes to my gym. He's a father, and he had his 2 kids in the back, and they watch my video. So it was, you know, a really wholesome experience. Like, we were all going to dinner, and we ended up speaking about Andrew Tate. The father had seen some clips about him, and he asked me, like, you know, what's going on. And me and the boys and myself obviously know about Andrew Tate, so we were kind of telling him, oh, you know, he's done this, he's done this. And this is where I really really got to think more about Andrew Tate because I'm explaining it to a guy who doesn't really, who doesn't really know his message, who's never really watched this stuff. And I found myself, I literally only had positive things to say. And one of the things I kept on saying was like, I can't help but respect his success. Like that statement he's made, just like we can't falter it. He became the most famous person in the entire world. And maybe it was, it was a short span of like a month, 2 months, 3 months or something. But he literally became the most famous person. He has done something that no one else has ever done before, which was blow up on social media to a level we've never seen before. He started making millions, 5 to 10 million a month. We have never seen that happen before. He is quite like a pioneer of social media captivating attention. I'll say that in a better way. He is the pioneer of captivating attention on social media. We have never seen that success to this level before, and you can't, no matter what opinions you have of him, no matter how he makes, if you're more feminine and you're more in touch with your emotions like I somewhat am, if you can't like let your emotions dictate too much of your actual rational thoughts, there has to be a level of respect for the guy, because that is an insane level of success.
5,000 death threats per day. So do people who I love and people I care about. They also receive death threats. The social media
And you know what? I was going to speak about Sneeko later, but I feel the exact same way about Sneeko.
Companies have yet to take any action against this. They were uninterested in trying to police this in any form. The advantages are, of course, is that I have a massive effect on people. And I have had thousands of emails from men saying, "You saved me from depression. You saved me from suicide. You helped me so much."
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's saved me from anything, because I was already quite an improved man by the time I saw Andrew Tate's content, but he did help me quite significantly. And I mimicked but I learned from his work ethic is the number one thing that I really learned from him. I remember sharing a video of his where he speaks about working hard and he speaks about like working relentlessly. I shared a video of it to my community post, and straight away there was like 100 comments of people, "Oh, don't share this guy, he's a sexist, he harasses women, he's a human trafficker," like all this shit. And like, maybe I was too much of a pussy because I shared that video, got that somewhat of this backlash saying, okay, don't share Andrew Tate. And then I never really spoke about him again because I was like, okay, people don't really like him, so I'll keep quiet and stuff. Like, that was a little bitch move of myself. But what I will say is that he has changed the life of my best friend, Sam. He has totally changed his life. The way that I see Sam navigate his life now that he has more of this like top G mindset's fucking so nice to see. He's like a young guy who has been bullied relentlessly for most of his life, and now he's finally got this level of like confidence and masculinity about him, and it's so fucking nice to see your brother like that, like just grow up. And he did it because Andrew Tate became somewhat of his role model, which, do you know what I mean? Like, if you can experience what I can experience, imagine you really deeply care for your best friend, you see him like a brother, and then you see a guy who's very controversial, but that guy has become a good role model for your friend. You can't help but to like that controversial figure, no matter what anyone says about him, no matter whatever like news article comes about him. I will always have some kind of positive view towards Andrew Tate because he has had such a positive impact on my best friend. And when I say best friend, I mean Sam. This video is kind of tricky, and what I'm talking about is kind of tricky because I'm also talking about a best friend who betrayed me, and his name's not Sam. That's like a different best friend. Maybe I'll have to give him like an alias so you know who I'm talking about. But the best friend who betrayed me is not Sam, and Sam is the video editor. Sam is Harbonator. He's one of the video editors for the main channel.
The #1 video on my YouTube channel, my pinned video, has been for over a year. Mind hacks, how to beat depression, how to feel better as a man. Sitting there believing that depression is some monster from the sky that strikes your brain and now you have no control over it and you must take pills every day is the absolute enemy to a G mindset. I don't give a fuck how depressing my situation. The only person who can change it is me. The only person who can change how I feel about my situation or try and affect the situation directly is me. Even if you put me in a situation I can't change, if you put me in jail and I'm depressed because I'm in jail, I still refuse to succumb to depression. I refuse to collapse mentally and give up. I know the only person who can control my mind is me. Nobody's coming to save me. As a man who's been through such a difficult life, I think I have a very intimate understanding of difficulty and how to grow as a man and how to become the kind of man that can handle a difficult life, because this has been my life path. This is what God chose for me. And this is what I've been teaching. And I have affected positively millions of people. And I'm immensely proud of that. I truly am. However, people couldn't stop talking about me. And when people were talking about me, they weren't doing it out of love for me. They weren't doing it because they cared about me. The main reason people were talking about me so extensively is because they cared about their own channels, their own views. They wanted their own clicks. And they understood that if they can make...
Well, remember what I just said before, that men who are more feminine will take part in that sort of feminine gossiping where they'll stand in a group and they'll talk about that outcasted person to really symbolize, okay, he's not one of us, we have these values here, he's not one of us. feminine men, like pushover men, will do this. What Andrew Tate just said is like they haven't done this to sort of help him to help him grow, because that's the masculine criticism. You'll see a masculine man respond to Andrew Tate with something in which he could use to better his life, not as this kind of dynamic of like, oh, let's gossip about him because he seems kind of weird and we don't want to be a part of him.
Make a YouTube video purporting a lie about me or saying bad things about me, it's more likely to get clicked. It's more likely to get watched. It's more likely to get shared. Expose, Andrew Tate is this. Expose, Andrew Tate is that. And what's happened?
One sec, my camera's gonna die.
Is people through their own selfish desires trying to piggyback off the back of my massive fame and becoming the most famous man on the planet have decided that making a bunch of negative videos is a fantastic way for them to personally gain clout and personally gain views and clicks, which is what the internet is about. And we ended up in a situation where videos of me from long ago are being taken out of context purposefully to try and purport a narrative which is not true, because people understand that's a very easy way for them to gain some clout and leech off of my success. That's all fine. Like I said, I have no problem with people disagreeing with me, being disliked, etc. However, when it has an effect to this magnitude, where I am genuinely seen as a negative, bad influence on the world, when all of the emails I receive from people who watch me are positive, saying that I'm helping people, how I've helped their mind, I've cured their depression, it's really strange to experience such a disconnect. To have 98% of the people who email you say how fantastic you are and how much you've helped them, and then 2% of unknowns threatening your life. And then everyone I meet on the street saying such amazing things. Since I've become the most famous man on the planet, I have never once had a negative experience in real life. Everybody who meets me is very respectful, a fan, we take pictures, we shake hands. Nobody has screamed at me in public. Nobody's come up to me and called me names in public. Nobody said I'm wrong. I've been to over 20 countries.
Yeah, this is because the people who are against a man like this usually don't go outside. I've said this before, like, when you spend all day on the internet and you see all this discourse, you see all this, like, aggressive, like, oh, feminist, and you know, oh, like, cancel culture, bro. As soon as you step outside, you don't see any of this shit. When you step outside, especially if you're not in, like, some major, like, political shit it is, but, like, some major city that's, like, cucked or whatever. If you're just in a normal town, a normal city, and you step outside, you don't see this narrative of like, oh, feminism, oh, like men worse. You don't see that shit. It's literally just people getting along by their day. And like, if for example there's like a celebrity, I don't even need to know he is a celebrity, if a celebrity gets spotted, no feminist is coming up and to argue with him. Like, that shit doesn't happen in the real world. It happens online, because these kinds of people only stay online. Like the people who are like spread it, like, you know, like TikTok, Twitter, like tweet, is there a word for like people who use Twitter? They stay inside. So all these arguments you see on Twitter, you don't hear them outside in your normal day-to-day life. You don't walk past like an angry feminist debates, like, you don't hear this shit outside, because these people don't go outside. Step outside of your house, get into nature, and you will not see a feminist getting destroyed or whatever bullshit, bro.
I've never had a single negative in-person experience ever. So the people love me. At the same time, the media is saying I'm hated. It's a very strange disconnect I've been experiencing. And a lot of that has been purported and accelerated by the fact that people are trying to gain views on their own channels, separate to me, nothing to do with me, by accelerating lies. It's also an interesting case study into internet mass hysteria, right? If 50 videos come out saying Tate's a bad guy, it takes a lot of bravery for someone to come out and say Tate's not a bad guy. Despite the evidence.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't call this brave, because I know for a fact this video is going to do well. I know this stream's doing well and stuff, so of course there's a level of self-interest, I'll be honest with that. But I would call it cowardly that the fact that I've not spoke about this before. Here is a man in my space, a man who I respect, a man who I consider a strong man, and I didn't at least make some kind of positive video with just saying, yep, I like him. Fuck you. If you don't believe me, if you don't agree with me, yeah, fine. Like, we can still be respectful. I just said, yeah, we can still be respectful. And I just, literally 5 seconds ago, I just went, yeah, fuck you. We can still be respectful if you don't agree with my views. It was a cowardly decision for me to not speak about him for my own sort of self-preservation of like, oh, well, you know, he's really controversial and I don't want people to see us together. Like, you can see that there's a very big difference between me and Andrew Tate. And if you can't see that, like... Of course there is. Do you know what I mean? There's a very big difference between us, but it's the nature of thing that when someone is so controversial, so hated, it's like they'll usually stand alone, because we are all self-interested and you don't want to risk being associated with someone else who is like under the spotlight right now. And so I stayed very silent. I stayed still just for my own self-interest. Now I'm coming out in a sense and actually saying, yeah, but bro, I've liked this guy all this time. I've always, like, not always, because the first sort of couple of months of this year when I saw his videos pop up, to be honest, I literally just didn't even watch them. I literally just only watched like educational stuff on YouTube and barely any like stuff on YouTube anyway. Like, I try and stay detached away from technology. But the last like 2 months since I was in Thailand and he really, really blew up, honestly, like, I've liked his message. I've liked his message. I've liked the impact that I can see on the men in front of me, and the controversy and these people who hate him and stuff like that. Like, if I go to like, I don't know how I'd find it, like Andrew Tate exposed or something, like, when you look at the people who don't like him, it's like I relate a lot to a man like this than I do a man like this. There was one particular guy, what was it, like, this. So I don't know about you, I really don't know about you, but I relate a lot more to a man who looks and talks and acts like Andrew Tate than this guy here. Who do you relate more to? Who can you like understand more?
I can show evidence to the contrary of these negative narratives for the end of time. But if somebody can see, if a YouTube creator or a content creator can see, if you make a negative video about Tate, you get a bunch of clicks, and everyone else did it, well then I may as well do it. They don't sit there and go, what about Andrew? What about the truth of this? What about the effect on his life? What about the effect on his experience of the world? That doesn't come into consideration. What comes into consideration is, everyone else did this and got a bunch of views, I want one.
There's a point when I started seeing a bunch of people make videos about me, negative videos about me, saying I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about this, I'm being like too aggressive. Oh, Hamza doesn't know what he's talking about because he says that you can't play video games, but I play video games and I swear I'm okay, guys. Those type of videos. I saw them start popping up, like quite a lot of them. You know what? I took control of the situation. That I made a video on my second channel saying, I'll show you it now. I made a video on my second channel saying, criticize me to start up your YouTube channel, because I saw lots of people making negative videos about me, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to control this frame now. And I just told a bunch of people to make negative, where is it now? To make negative videos about me here.
Right now, if you make a video with my name in the title, it will be shown to so many more people than any other title that you could currently come up with. And what sells more is criticism, hate.
So I told people to do this, and the videos that people made about me, like these are new YouTubers, 40,000 views, 100,000 views, 5,000 views. It's still working, like we're still dominating the YouTube algorithm if you want to make a video about me. And I think probably making one which is more positive now, for my own ego, but for your own sort of channel growth as well. If you made a positive video about me and you were like, Hamza's self-improvement advice, ... or some shit like that, you'll probably get more views. You can see like these low-level YouTubers, no offense to them, but like low sort of success YouTubers, and they get quite a lot of views when they make videos about me now.
And even though what they're saying is false, even though some of them know it's false, some of them may not, but the ones who are well-researched know it's a lie, it's very, very tempting for them to sit there and do it anyway, because there's no repercussion. There's no downside to this. All that's going to happen is they're going to get a bunch of clicks, a bunch of views, a bunch of comments, a lot of people defending me because they know it's not true, a lot of people agreeing with them who are less researched. They're going to completely benefit, and the only person who's going to suffer is me. And because I have an iron mind and I wasn't emotionally affected by this, and I understood the nature of the internet, I didn't try to combat it too hard. I didn't know exactly what I should do, because I had already told the truth on repeat many, many, many times, but nobody would acknowledge it. They would just ignore it because it got more clicks to purport the lies. So I thought, that's the nature of the internet. I've never been this famous before. I guess that's just how it goes. Unfortunately, now public consciousness via the media has genuinely bought into a construct where people believe I'm somehow dangerous, when all I have done is save people from depression. We talk about men's mental health. Tate Pimblich's fought and talk about if you have trouble with men's mental health, come forward.
As I said, women talk to each other. There's no stigma on women. They sit around and have a cup of tea and have a jangle.
True that.
Men don't, lad. Men feel like, oh, I can't go and say that to him because he'll think I'm a little mushroom. You know what I mean? That's what men think. But as I said in the cage, I'd much rather my friend come to me and speak to me and cry on my shoulder than me have to cry when I'm carrying his coffin a week later.
I just wanted to show the world that if mental health could bring somebody as big as me and as strong as me and, you know, the stereotype heavyweight champion of the world to my knees, then it could bring anybody to the knees.
Tyson Fury talk about it. I talk about it. Everyone tries to talk about it. And everyone says, men, you should talk more, talk to us. I try and encourage men to be strong. I say, listen, if you're depressed, you need to get in the gym. A strong body is a strong mind. I sit there, and by using my lifestyle, which is an aspirational lifestyle that most men would love to have, purely because of the finance, the cars, the freedom, etc., I encourage people to work hard and try their best to become the best version of themselves. And men are encouraged to talk and open up. But when I talk and open up and get massive influence and start helping people, they're going to silence me. I've been nothing but a net positive for the world. That's truly how I view myself, and that's absolutely and utterly the truth. However, I am very understanding of a changing social media landscape, and I'm also very, very understanding of my fame changing. And by extension, I have some responsibility to bear. I am a man who believes that he is responsible for everything. I think as a man, you should take complete responsibility for your entire reality. It doesn't matter if I'm struck by lightning. That is my fault. That's who I am as an individual, and it's been one of my keys to success, to never blame luck, to never blame anybody else, to only blame myself. So despite everything I've just said, I still blame myself. And because my rise has been so meteoric, because I've become so famous so quickly, and because I've been producing content for so long, even though I take absolute responsibility, I'm in a difficult scenario where videos that were made 5 or 6 years ago in long form are now being cut into 5 seconds, accelerated and purported now in line with my new line fame. I can't stop that happening. But I also understand I have a degree of responsibility, right? Because I'm the most influential person on the planet. So my responsibility is to make sure that any kind of negative connotations in my messaging are removed. I want to stick to my message. I don't want to backtrack. I still want to champion men's issues. I still want to champion physical and mental strength. I still want to champion the protection of women. I still want to do that. However, I must be ultra aware of how I do that, because it would be unprofessional of me as a man to sit and say that my messaging does not have to change in line with my fame. The way you can say things in a video that gets 500 views is very different than the way you can say things in a video that gets 500 million views or 50 million views. You have to change your messaging. The more people you reach, the more important it is that people do not take your things out of context, right? If 0.1% of people misunderstand you on a 500 person video, that will not have a large effect on the world. But if 0.1% of people misunderstand you on a video that has 50 million views, now you start to affect the world in a negative way. So I have to be very, very, very careful in line with my newfound fame. And it's difficult because in the world I'm in, if I sit down and do a 3-hour podcast, it's my job to be entertaining. And I want to give exciting answers and interesting insights. I think the reason people follow me is because I have a very firm understanding of the English language, a very good grasp of the way to construct sentences, how to be motivating, how to be compelling. And I do that on purpose. But it's also very difficult for me, regardless of my intellect, to now sit at a podcast, be interesting, be exciting, give a compendious and concise answer. At the same time, be wary that in my 1-minute answer, at any point, 6 seconds worth of it can be taken, snipped, used against me, and weaponized. I don't know if my mind can handle all those tasks at once. It's not very often I'm stumped, but that is becoming extremely difficult. And I'm sitting here thinking I've been offered massive podcast requests by the biggest podcasts in the world. And I'm thinking, how can I answer questions? How can I be a responsible adult, because that's what I am. How can I be a professional, take responsibility for my level of fame, to make sure that nothing can be taken out of context, but still tell my truth and still answer the questions, but construct my sentences in a way where they can't be misrepresented at all. And it's hard, because I think any content creator who was suffering from what I've suffered from, if any content creator got as large as I was, and there was as many people cutting up their videos as they were mine, and those people had a negative agenda, we could make Mickey Mouse look evil. You could make anyone look bad. I'm not saying I haven't given them ammo. Of course, there's been the odd clip that made it easy for them. I'm saying if their intentions were to be as provocative and negative as possible, it can be done to anybody. And that's why now I need to take a break from all the podcasts I've been invited on, especially since I've been banned. I've been invited on the largest platforms in the world. I've had 100,000 emails of support. All the media channels want to talk to me. And I'm sitting here thinking, I need to make sure I'm not misunderstood. And I have to really be careful about how I do that while not backing down on my messaging, while still championing the things I champion, still believing in myself, but making sure I'm not misunderstood. And although I think on the internet I am one of the most respected oratists that exist, I now need to once again improve myself and improve my skills and prevent anybody being able to take me out of context. I might have to form a new way for sentences to be constructed, but if that's what it takes, that's what I intend to do. Because with great influence comes absolutely and utterly great responsibility. And I do understand that. And I will blame myself for the fact that people have managed to do this to me, regardless of the fact that I did not want it to happen. So let me give a quick example of this. Before I continue, I want to say that I often speak to the absolute beauty of women. I have a very healthy relationship with my mother. I have women around me who truly and utterly love me. I have very healthy relationships with females. I have no criminal charges for crimes against females. Nobody has come forward and accused me of sexual misconduct. Please understand, we'll go into the Romanian house raid shortly, but most people in my position of fame have had women come forward and say he raped me. I'm the most famous man on the planet. There's not a single female whose face you can name or whose face you can picture that's come forward and said I've raped her. Not a single female has come forward saying I've hurt her. Not one. There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends.
Listen, bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen?
Hello everyone, I just wanted to say something about the video that's been released recently about me and my ex-boyfriend Andrew Tate. Andrew is my still great friend. What you guys saw in the video is just what we used to do. It was just pure game. He's a great guy. He would never hurt anyone unless he's fighting.
The left understand that kink shaming is a negative thing, from my understanding. She has come forward and said that it was all just a game. And still that video is being used and sent around the internet saying I'm a woman beater. If I said it was a game and she said it was a game, who are other people to then comment on our lives, our private lives, which got leaked, and tell us it's not a game? It was between two consenting adults, and we decided to do something ourselves, and we both agreed it was fine, and she has not come forward trying to accuse me of anything. So who are others to do that? That's just kink shaming, which that's all it is.
His question then is, who are others to do that? I believe, I've not looked into this too much, but the situation was, there's a video of, like a private sexual video of Andrew Tate that got leaked where he's being very rough sexually with like his previous ex-girlfriend or something, and people have been sharing it saying like, oh, you know, he's beating a woman and stuff. And then she made a video saying, no, it's me, it's like everything's fine, he didn't beat me, it's like, you know, it's how we have sex, it's like we like it rough or something. And then a bunch of people have been reacting to it saying like, oh yeah, well, he's a woman beater. And Andrew Tate just casually just said, oh well, who are these people saying, you know, who are they to say otherwise when both of them have consented? Both of them have, Andrew Tate and his ex-girlfriend have said, okay, no, this is what we wanted. Who are these guys who have been arguing against it? Well, they're white knights. White knights, that's it. It's that simple answer. White knights see a video like that and they can't help but to like try and protect their mistress, like a lady. They can't help but try to like get like defensive and stuff.
So no women are accused.
Women, bro, a lot of men will for no logical reason defend a woman just simply because she is a woman.
Me of anything. No women are accusing me of misconduct. I champion women all the time. I say about how they should be protected, how beautiful they are, how much I love my grandmother because of the amount of children she had.
My grandmother had 9 children. There was my father and 8 more. They all had a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. I stood there and looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. Isn't that remarkable? That nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful.
I talk about how women are unique and special and they can do things that men can't do. And still these clips are taken out of context. Let me give you an example. I absolutely utterly love women. I have nothing against women. I believe women are the most precious things on the planet. They create life. They should be protected. They should be provided for. I would never let a woman pay for a bill. I would never let a woman, if someone touched any of my women, I would stand up against 10 men by myself and risk my life to protect her. I believe that women are beautiful creatures. I just don't think that they're as emotionally calm as men in stressful situations. I don't think they can fight like a man can. And for the same reason, I would never drop my children in an all-male nursery. I think that's strange and weird. I would only drop them in an all-female nursery. Women do certain things and men do certain things. Now, I believe everything I said. I believe in protecting women. I believe in championing women. I believe in making sure that women are provided for. However, that video was made when I was far less famous. In light of the things I just said to you earlier in this video, I understand that now, as my fame grows, even though to me my message is very clear, a man has certain roles in society, a woman has certain roles in society, and when we work as a team, when we love each other, society is better as a whole. I think that these views are not very...
And you know, what he's just said there is it's very controversial. Men have certain roles that they should fulfill, women have certain roles that they should fulfill. That's how society functions. What he's just said there is very controversial in the modern day, but I don't really know, like, I mean, I do, but I can't see why people disagree with that message. I don't understand it, and I found that level-headed people, men and women, automatically agree with that message of like, yep, men are different to women, and that's okay. That's actually the beautiful part of our synergy. The way of the superior man is like almost like my Bible. It's this book written by this author David Dida, and he explains in it that there needs to be a polarity for like a sexual relationship to go forward, that the man has to be more masculine or the woman has to be more feminine, or the roles can be reversed. The man can be way more feminine, the woman can be way more masculine, and as long as there's some level of polarity, that's fine. It seems like level-headed people accept this automatically. What kind of person doesn't accept that message? When I meet a level-headed, especially a level-headed woman who accepts that message of like, yep, like my role, like she'll look at me and like assume, okay, her role is different to mine. It's like I can't help but bond with her in a way better way. I don't want to be the same as the girl that I date. I don't want to have the same roles. That's like, why would I date a girl who thinks that she's the same as me? I want her to think that she's more like the complementary opposite of me. Like Tate just said, she will never pay for a date and he'll protect her physically. What's interesting, actually, the girl that I'm seeing right now is even in Hustlers University. So she watches Andrew Tate stuff. Like he's come in clutch for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't even have to like talk to her about any of these things. She automatically like knew and like she watched a bunch of Andrew Tate content. She's in Hustlers University, so we've had like little bits of conversations about this stuff, and she totally understands like the masculine feminine roles and dynamic.
Very controversial at all. I think they were mainstream.
Thank you, Tate.
Maybe a few years ago. I don't think that they're controversial. Most of the people...
She's in Hustlers University. The first time she told me that, I was like, oh, great, here we go. She's going to try and get me to sign up. This pyramid scheme goes fucking viral, bro.
The women I hang out with don't think they're controversial. Nobody on the street I've ever met thinks they're controversial. Everybody agrees with me. However, the way I'm saying it, the way I'm getting the message across, because I'm trying to be as energetic as possible, I understand that a small, tiny percentage of people might misunderstand me. And that didn't matter when I didn't have any views. I didn't have any followers. But now I'm the most famous man in the world. I have to be a lot more careful with how I say it. But what's really worrying is this. That clip, I would like to think, even my biggest haters can agree, is a clip that is positive about women as a whole. Perhaps you may not like my tonality or the way I structured certain sentences, but as a whole, I'm saying positive things about women. At one point during that speech, I said women do certain things and men do certain things. That clip has been taken, that cut of my language, men do certain things, women do certain things. Somebody, I have no idea who, has made a TikTok where it says men do certain things, and it shows videos of me driving around in cars, spending money, and women do certain things, and it shows women cleaning. Women do certain things. and men do certain things. Somebody off their own back, somebody else has made that video. I didn't tell them to. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their account is. It's just viral on the internet somewhere. And now I look like I'm saying women should only clean and men should only run around with cars and women and money. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. I said that women should be protected and provided for. But because a small clip was taken out of context and used against me and weaponized, now I look like I've said things I did not say. And no matter how positive my message about women, if the intention is to try and make me look bad, even with a clip like that, they found a way to make me look bad. That's the scary thing. That's why I've titled this video my final message, because I don't know, even with my entire brain, I don't know with all of my genius intellect, if I can find a way for nothing to be used against me. It's extremely difficult. One line out of context has made me look bad, and millions of people saw that, and people didn't see the long format video, and they've deduced that I hate women and that women should only clean, when really I was trying to stick up for and protect women and give my true views on women. And this comes full circle to the Instagram ban. I'm very understanding of why Instagram felt like it was necessary to ban me. I am not mad at Instagram. I'm a professional, and as a professional, I'm not an emotional person. I do not do emotional responses. Although I believe it's unfair, although I believe I've been unfairly vilified, although I believe it's not the right thing to do because it doesn't allow me to shift the public consciousness in a constructive manner, although I think it would have been better for them to say, Andrew, certain things are being taken out of context. You need to be careful that doesn't happen. A lot of people listen to you, and I could have become a champion for women's rights. I am not emotional. I understand why they did it, because that's a perfect example of how people are desperate to try and make the things I say look worse than they are, and using social media platforms to purport negative views of women. And it doesn't matter if it's a negative view of a woman, negative view of men, negative view of a sexuality. It doesn't matter what it is. It should be stopped. I agree with that. And Instagram, or Meta, have a responsibility to show that they are listening to the public. They want to show that they are listening. I have some good people on the case, and dialogue with Instagram I'll let open, and we'll proceed as God sees fit. If God believes that I do not need an Instagram page, then I will not have one. If God believes I do, then I shall. This is not just about Instagram. This is just me saying to Instagram that I totally understand. I just want to make it clear that I didn't want these things to be said. That clip.
You've seen this very recently with Andrew Tate getting banned on Instagram. I've been banned from Instagram. YouTube's always been a bit mixed with how it treats its creators as well. So there's a very big uprising with a bunch of YouTube creators getting demonetized and their accounts are just getting deleted or shadow banned. You've got to understand the creators that you like on these platforms are not safe, and we are thinking of ways to further safeguard ourselves from just being technologically assassinated, which is getting cancelled. And I believe perhaps the strongest way will be through First Man's streaming platform. It'd be through a separate platform that's ran by a strong man, which the purpose of this platform, this separate external platform, imagine it's like a completely new website, kind of like Netflix, but it's made for men to push forward this kind of positive conditioning for men to become strong and more masculine. Because this is why me and First Man, we went on a video call, he's telling me about this streaming platform, saying that he wants me to have a big part in it. And something just clicked in my brain, and I just thought, how important is that? Because what we have right now, especially with things like Netflix and modern TV shows, is I've always criticized modern media, haven't I? Modern TV shows, modern movies. They portray men to be so weak, so feminine, and when you watch that shit, you can't help but be conditioned and brainwashed with that. When your future girlfriend watches these TV shows where the father of this reality TV family is a bumbling idiot, she can't help but lose respect for men, because we are totally influenced by the content, the media that we consume. I grew up, now when I think back to it, it's so weird and fucked that I grew up and it was a normal thing for me to watch TV shows which were about single mothers raising children by themselves. It normalized what is a very clear issue of society's fatherlessness, and it normalized that inside of my teenage brain. So what if we did the opposite of that? What if we had a platform which was detached away from these modern sort of big platforms, where we could actually really come together to try and create the best kind of conditioning, brainwashing for our generation, to show them good, strong family values, to show them men being strong, being disciplined. There would be no fucking eating challenges, no 10,000 calorie bullshit challenges, people eating junk food on this platform.
Of the cleaning and me being taken out of context has no benefit for me. Everyone dislikes me on the internet. Certain people watch it and know it's not true, the ones who've watched the longer format stuff of my videos and they're fans of mine, fine. So certain people remain neutral because they know it's false. But people who don't, then dislike me. My family gets death threats. I get death threats. Hate is spread online. There's no benefit for me. If I could stop that happening, I absolutely would. Which is why I want to adjust my messaging and adjust the way I talk. I don't want that to happen. That doesn't help me. I would love for that to never happen. And Instagram think the way for that to stop happening is to ban me. I agree it should stop happening, but I don't think banning me is the answer. Because there will always be someone else. And there'll be a new hate mob and new out of context videos. And this is a problem which is larger than Andrew Tate. This is an internet problem. This is a problem with short format videos, short attention spans, nobody looking into anything in detail, things taken out of context. This is a really big problem that the world has to address that goes beyond me. And if I've had to martyr my presence on social media to raise a conversation, which is going to be a net benefit for the world as a whole, then I'm happy with that. I'm happy if people go, you know what, this happened to Andrew Tate, it's now happening to other people. We have to change the way we review censorship, banning, content creation, content proportion, all these things. That's fine, if that's the life path which has been chosen for me. I just want to get clear that I don't like when that happens. I don't want that to happen myself because I don't gain anything from that. On Instagram, absolutely no rules were broken. My captions were just poetry that I wrote. My pictures were just lifestyle. Car, house, boat. I never broke any rules on Instagram. I never had any strikes. I never done anything wrong on Instagram. The only rule infringements on Instagram were my comment section, where hate mobs inspired by these videos that we've been discussing, these videos which were deliberately taken out of context and deliberately fictional, hate mobs were inspired at the end of YouTube videos to go to my Instagram and insult me. So the only infringements you would find on Instagram was in my comment section, where thousands of people who were sent by random YouTubers who don't like me would come, threaten to kill me, mock my dead father, threaten to kill my brother, threaten to kill my family, threaten to find me.
It's weird that like the criticisms of Andrew Tate is pushed forward by these weak-looking people who say that Andrew Tate is a dangerous person, and then those same weak-looking people send him death threats. I've always found this weird with like these sort of cancel culture kind of people. They say there's someone who's like a strong man, who's like a right winger, or I don't know much about politics, to be honest, so I shouldn't speak about that, but like they say like these kinds of men are dangerous, and then the same people who say that that guy's dangerous will send him death threats.
These were the only rule infringements on Instagram. Things written against me by other YouTubers, telling them to go and do it, while all I wrote is poetry. And on repeat, multiple times I said on my stories, if you're going to defend me, do it respectfully. Even if people hate me, even if they're insulting me, don't insult them back. Hate doesn't beat hate. It just creates a brick wall. If somebody says they hate me, explain to them calmly that they don't understand the context. Show them a longer format video. Show them how I stick up for marginalized people. Explain I'm a person of color and I've been marginalized in my childhood. Show them how I had a gay friend when I was a kid. Show them how I stick up for women. Don't just reply saying you're stupid, you don't know the truth. Don't fight hate with hate. I was encouraging all of my followers and all of my fans to be respectful people, even when sticking up for me. Once again, trying to turn negativity into positivity via social media. My Instagram had no infringements. That was the only anti-policy things on the page, things targeted against me. And I didn't really complain to Instagram because I wasn't taught as a person to go complaining to authority. I thought, this is the internet. That's how it works. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Soon the truth of your heart and your character will come through. Soon people will see the light and they'll change because that's the way the world is. People often flip-flop on issues. This is how things happen. The redemption arc is going to be beautiful. I really truly believe that within a few years, people are going to understand that I'm a force for good in the world. And often people say, well, if don't have Tate as a male role model, there's better ones. Where are they? There are no other male role models. Because to inspire the youth of men, you need to be aspirational. They have to look at you and want to be like you. And there's no other male role models that have had the tenacity or the aggressiveness to have such a fantastic life as I have, that they're going to listen to me. They listen to me because of my authority, and my authority comes from my life experiences. If my mentality is so wrong, how have I managed to amass enormous wealth? How have I managed to amass huge social status? How have I managed to physically dominate the planet? I've done things that men respect and they look up to me. So that's why I can lead them. And I understand my messaging should change in light of the fact that I can be taken out of context. But me being alive on the internet will allow me to lead men in a very positive direction. Banning me and deleting me leaves a black hole where they say there'll be another masculine leader. But the men don't listen. The youth of today won't listen to anybody else. That's the reason I'm the most famous man on the planet, because none of these other people have the authority to affect them like I do. It's me or nobody. And I truly believe that me, with reformed messaging, now understanding of my newfound fame, is so much better for the world than nobody. Because nobody just leads to black holes of who knows what, and it can't be controlled. And that's where the internet is truly dangerous. Speaking of Instagram, I was understanding in recent weeks of how these negative fictional stories of me were gaining traction, and I wanted to try very, very hard to counter that.
You made a very good point there. We need masculine role models for the generation of men that are fatherless. I can't help but feel, obviously it's my emotions, but I feel a little bit like, oh, my ego hurts watching like the last minute where he's saying like, you know, there's no other role models, because I'm sat here like, I'm a role model. But I get what he totally means. Like, he has reached a lifestyle where, whether you like him or not, 100% of men would love to at least experience that kind of life that he has for some time. And of course, 90% of men would never admit this, but if you just secretly got to experience his life for like a week, with the results that he's gotten of life, the success that he's gotten, and also the mind that he has and the capabilities he has, I'm sure that we'd all like to experience that. And that's what makes a great role model, is that you want to become more like them. I found myself even, not meaning to mention this, but like a month ago, 2 months ago, even journaling and asking myself, even months ago actually, even before I went to Thailand, journaling and asking myself, okay, like, how can I become more credible and strong like Andrew Tate? Like, I see him, he's blown up. People really respect him because he's like a world champion kickboxer, he's really rich and stuff, so he's got a level of credibility, whereas I'm just like a young guy who I'm speaking more about, like, things that have helped me, like, oh yeah, get into the gym and mental health and stuff, but like, I'm not at that ultimate level of success where I can show you, like, look guys, if you do these things, this is how you'll turn out. And that's why I can respect a guy like that, because he's giving the advice, like, he's giving the blueprint to get closer to his life with strength, with discipline, with masculinity. I'm all for having more masculine role models in front of us. I'm all for that.
I put a post on Instagram, which you can see here, where I explained that the things I've said have been taken out of context. And just because I champion men's rights does not mean I dislike women. I think that men are underrepresented in the world today. And as people often say, men need to speak up. I'm here speaking for the men. I'm here trying to speak up. People are speaking up because of me. We're raising important issues in the world today because of me. Deleting me and blocking me is only going to hurt men as a whole and increase all the problems we see with the youth of the men today. So I put a post up and I said, listen, people misunderstand me. I'm going to donate money to a female charity that supports women against domestic violence. And I'm also going to donate money to a charity that supports men's mental health. Just because I support men doesn't mean I hate women. I love people. I'm a person full of love, and I want people as a whole to elevate, not just men or women. I promised $1 to each charity for every like. That's $2 per like total, $1 to each charity. At the time of my banning, I had 550,000 likes or something like that, I believe. And if I hear from Instagram, what I would like them to do is to clarify the final likes amount on that post so that I can stick to my word, because that's what I am. I'm a man of my word. I was not doing it purely just to post a receipt on social media. I was doing it because I genuinely believe it's a good thing to do. And I would like Instagram to confirm the final amount of likes on that picture so I can donate the $1.2, $1.3 million.
That's a very, very fucking powerful tactic that he's just done there. He's got Instagram by the ball. He's just like deflected the power right onto Instagram, because now he's made this like, you know, final message that's went semi-viral. It's got like almost 1 million views. I'm sure it's been spread around on like TikTok and stuff. And this clip here where he's saying, okay, Instagram, if you show us the likes, then I'll donate the money. And so now it's in like some Instagram PR's sort of, the ball is in their court to think, okay, if we don't respond to this, we're going to look bad because he's just said he'll pledge like $1.1 million to charity. So that's a very, very powerful like move that he's just done there.
I would donate to both of those charities. I would even be happy for Instagram to select the 2 charities and confirm and verify my donation. I'd be very happy to do that because I said I was going to do that. And I'm a man of my word. I stick to my word. What's interesting to me is when I put that post up, if anybody else had promised to do that, there'd be massive positive attention. But everybody ignored it. Nobody in the media wanted to post about it. None of the YouTubers wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it because it doesn't get clicks. You only get clicks for hating me. You don't get clicks for telling the truth about me. So nobody's interested in telling the truth. Everybody ignored my charitable donations. If anybody else donated $1.3 million to charity, I'd like to think there'd be some sort of headline. But if I want to do it, nobody cares. And that's very, very unfair. What's also unfair is the people who say that they care about women and they're worried about misogyny and using this to attack me and try and have me deleted from the internet. They don't donate any money to charity. They don't help women. They don't want to do anything but spread hate. Right now they hate Andrew Tate. When I'm gone, they'll hate someone else. They'll find someone else's comment section to go into, insult, threaten their lives, insult their dead parents, hate. They're not going to donate money to charity. They're not going to help women. They're just going to sit there and hate me until I'm gone and then hate somebody else. This is a hate mob. And they're pretending that they care about women. They don't care about anybody. They're just hateful. And by Instagram allowing the hate mob to be successful, it inspires further hate mobs. It inspires further hate, further division. I understand that Instagram and Meta and Facebook need to, as a whole, keep their fingers on the pulse of the national opinions. I understand that. But once we have confirmed that the national opinion is misunderstood, then we have to sit there and go, do we want to bow to hate mobs, which are accelerating and encouraging people to become more hateful for views and to get people banned via hate? When these people may be actually doing good things to the real issue as a whole, is this a good idea for us to now bow and bend to these people? And this is a really interesting conversation which can be had for many, many hours about the internet, about society, about sociology, about psychology, about so many things. It expands in so many different directions. It's actually very, very interesting. It's an interesting conversation to have because we're living in an unprecedented time of humanity where the world is so connected and we're all kind of unprepared for it, right? It's very, very interesting. I find it super interesting. It's something I've been talking about internally and I would love to talk about more in person. And when I decide to finally come back to public consciousness and do podcasts and that kind of thing, it's something we will be talking about because it's a very, very interesting subject. I'm teaching that it takes tenacity and toughness to become a credible man of merit and value. I think even my hardcore detractors would agree with me. If you're in trouble and you call the police, you want a tenacious, tough man to appear, to help you, to protect you. There's nothing wrong with being a tenacious, ambitious, tough man. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with strength, mental and physical. These things are used to protect people, protect men and women. This is a protective state. You can't protect anything if you're not strong. Strength is a beautiful thing. The world is built on the backs of strong men, and I'm trying to teach men to be stronger men because it makes the men feel happier inside, it solves men's mental health, and it also makes the world a genuinely better place. People are taking my lessons and me trying to teach strength and misconstruing them, saying that I'm trying to teach men to be oppressive or aggressive. That's absolutely not the case. And at the same time, they're ignoring my charitable donations to the world. And at the same time, other media creators are rewarded for purporting lies and spinning lies about me. And then at the same time, the media buys into this. And at the same time, we're in the current situation where this entire storm has appeared, where I've genuinely only been a net positive on the world for anyone who's watched my content in all of its long form. When Instagram tells me and confirms to me the number of likes on that post, I'm going to make the donation. As well as that, the future for me, now that I will be a lot more careful and a lot more selective with the social media I'll be producing, if any at all, is I'm going to be starting a foundation, the Tate Foundation, which is going to be dedicated towards charitable acts of both genders. I have been very, very private about certain elements of my personal life, as has my brother. However, my brother has a daughter, and she's beautiful. She's my niece. I don't want her to grow up in a world where women are hated. I don't want to grow up in a world where men are oppressive and hurting women. Why would I possibly want that? I want her to find a strong man who can protect her, who can provide for her, who can make sure she's safe, but I don't want anything bad to ever happen to her. My own personal circumstances regarding family or something that are once again confidential, but I confirm to you that the last thing I would ever want is for women to be marginalized in the future, for genuine misogyny or sexism to take hold on the planet. I would completely and utterly be very unhappy with that for my own personal reasons. The Tate Foundation is going to be dedicated towards helping men's mental health and also protecting women from violence against men. You're going to see in the upcoming months and years that I'm not somebody who's doing this just for likes or doing this just for views, that I'm somebody who's doing this because he genuinely has the capability to help people. And I believed I was helping people via social media.
Bro, he's just said that he's going to make a charity for mental health. If he puts in, which I'm sure he probably will do, the same level of like brain power that he did into his marketing tactics for TikTok and how he blew up on social media into that men's mental health charity, that might be one of the probably the most successful charity, like the most successful act of helping men's mental health ever seen before. I'm very excited to see what he comes up with for that.
And if that's going to be taken away from me, then I will continue my philanthropy in other realms. Please, if you want to have more information, you can go to cobratate.com, sign up to the emailing list. And my emailing list is going to start detailing all of my charitable acts from here on out. I'll be spending millions and millions of dollars on charitable acts for the rest of my human life. God has blessed me with fantastic wealth. It's more money than I will ever personally need. I already was doing my philanthropy through encouraging men. And if that's going to be destroyed, then I've decided to start the Tate Foundation and specifically help with financial aid, women, protection from violence primarily. I'm in Romania, which is very close to Ukraine, and there's a lot of problems there with violence against women and women trying to escape the country, and men's mental health issues. And this will all be detailed on my newsletter at cobratate.com, and I encourage people to follow. My other charitable acts are things that I haven't really advertised or talked about. I always felt a bit embarrassed to tell people about the charity I do, because when I do charity, I think it should be from the heart, not for likes. But I understand now that all of the media is saying I'm a bad guy, and I'm not even telling the world all the good I do, because I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think you should just give from the goodness of your heart, not for attention. But that's unfair for people to be saying I'm a bad person when I run a shelter for dogs in Romania because of the stray dog problem, because of the fact that I just recently rebuilt an entire orphanage, because there's an orphanage problem in Romania. There'll be a plaque called the Tate Orphanage on this orphanage, and you can see here messages of thank yous from the children and the woman who's running it. I did this months ago, before anybody disliked me. I didn't even tell anybody. I just rebuilt an orphanage and didn't use it for positive PR, didn't try and put it on the internet and get a good spin from it, didn't try to get likes. I was just trying to help people. The fact that the only charitable act I've ever advertised was their Instagram post. So I find it very hypocritical when these hate mobs come and say I'm a bad person, when I'm the one who's out here spending his money and time trying to help the world. And all they're doing is telling their followers to insult me on my Instagram page. Which one of those two things has a genuinely positive effect on humanity? I'm genuinely not the bad person. However, I will say again, I do take absolute responsibility because that's who I am as a man. I'm a personal responsibility type of person. And I understand that regardless of the fact I believe it's unfair, I do have a cross to bear because of my monumental success.
I've lived an extreme life, more extreme than most. I've been a multimillionaire. I've been a nobody. I've been famous. I've been a world level athlete. I've started from nothing to the point where I had to run to the gym because I didn't even have a car to get there. I've done it all. So I've lived a very extreme life, and this is where these lessons come from.
To quickly address the rumors that I'm a sex trafficker and that's why I live in Romania. Firstly, that's a very, very racist attitude to have. I find it strange that the left and people who speak and talk about tolerance and inclusivity will assume that Romania as a country will allow me to be a rapist, or that Romania is the kind of place where rape is okay. That's an extremely racist mentality to have. Imagine someone saying that the other way around, that in this country, because it's run by these people, they're inherently bad. That's very unfair on Romania. Romania's been very good to me. It's a great country filled with fantastic people, amazing nature, great food. It's a great place. I live here because I love it. There's no other reason why I live here. They're a European Union nation. They have a strong legal system, just like every other country. And to sit here and say that, oh, Romania is where you can rape people, that's very racist. And I don't understand why nobody is pointing out the fact that anyone who's saying that and believes that is purporting racial stereotypes. That's the first thing. The second thing is my house was raided by police under accusations that a woman was being held kidnapped. I have spoke about this at length many, many times. I was effectively swatted. I think this happens to all famous people on the internet, where the police is called, happens especially in America. They call the police and say, somebody has got a gun at this address and he's threatening to kill somebody. And the SWAT turn up and it turns out it's fake. It happened to Tim Pool repeatedly, it happened to Aiden Ross just the other day. Being swatted is unfortunately one of the things that happens when you're famous on the internet.
Whatever troll did it, you did it. You officially did it.
Oh, we got swatted yesterday. It's so upsetting.
Just right after my mom arrived.
I was swatted. Someone made a call about me, which was fake. The police responded, as they should. I would hate to live in a country where the police get a call that a woman's being held kidnapped and they don't bother going to look. That's not what a country should do. Absolutely, the Romanian authorities were exceptionally professional. I have nothing but positive things to say about them. They turned up professionally, turned up and investigated as they should. And they found out that it was completely false, that nobody was kidnapped, nobody was held against their will. I was not charged, I was not released on bail. I have no criminal charges in Romania, England, America, any country on the planet. I have no accusations against me for hurting women. And people are still on the internet saying, he's a human trafficker, the Romanian police are trying to get in trouble for human trafficking. That's not true. That's not what happened. And I've said this many times, but people continue to ignore it and continue to purport the lie because that's how the internet works, right? They continue to just keep pushing the lie because it gets more clicks or because they personally don't like me and they want to use it as an excuse to pretend I'm a bad person. I can sit here and be vain and arrogant and say they're jealous of me and my success and they want to find a way to drag me down, but that's beside the point. The actual point is, it's not true. And I was swatted just like anyone else was. And if I had actually hurt anybody, the Romanian police would have me in jail because they are a nation, a European Union nation, with a strong legal system, and they would lock me up. They have not done that because I am completely and utterly innocent. They investigated as they should and came to the correct conclusion that there's nobody here and this was a false call, a false alarm. It happens to lots of famous people. It happens all the time. The person who made the call about me threw in, instead of saying, I kind of think, and I analyze it, the people who make these police calls, right? The people who do the swatting, it's kind of country specific. In America, they make a call to the police and they say, he has a gun, he has hostages. They can't really say that in Romania because it's very, very unlikely. It's not likely to be taken seriously. So instead, they try and find something the police might believe. Oh, he's an American guy and he has this big house and he has a bunch of women trapped. It's a different story, but it's the same intention, for the police to turn up with guns. And thankfully, thank God, nobody was shot, nobody was hurt. They were very professional, very calm, as was I. Very calm conversations, very kind. Everything was sorted out very quickly. I was taken from my house. They came into my house at 5 p.m. They did a forensic search, as they should. At 8 p.m., the search concluded. They took me from my house at 8 p.m. for paperwork at the police station, and by 9:21, I was back home. And that was the end of it. Nothing's happened since. No woman's come forward. Nobody's hurt. Nothing. So that's completely false. But again, this is taken, it's put in all the news, it's put in all the media. Imagine I was a normal person with a normal job. This should be scary to anybody watching this, that this could happen to you. I'm lucky. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't need a job. I don't need people to like me. I don't need social media. I don't need any of this. I can have my beautiful family. I can have my children. I can be left alone. But if you're a normal person, you lose your job. You lose your income. You can't walk the street. You can't afford security. You can't afford to...
I don't believe I've ever told this story before on YouTube, but I've been falsely accused before. And it's one of the most anxious months of my life. It was never pushed into like the legal or like with police or anything, but like having a girl fully accuse you and tell as many people as she can of shit that you didn't do. I was extremely lucky, just the luck of the gods was on me that like no one really believed her and everyone just believed me straight away. I was so fucking lucky that that was the case, that even her best friends didn't believe her. But if they did, if a couple of her friends believed her, if a couple of her friends just kind of like, pushed forward the same lie that she was telling people, I probably wouldn't be here today. The power a white woman has in the legal system is fucking atrocious, especially if you're not a white... Like, if you're a white man yourself, you're still fucked. But if you're, like, a minority man, you are fucked. If a white girl wants you to be in jail or some shit, bro, you are fucked. The police, society, all these little white knights, all everyone else around you will believe the white woman over you 9.9 times out of 10. And when I think back to this situation, like, I don't think I've ever spoke about it online, and I probably won't, but when I think back to the situation, I am so incredibly lucky it turned out just like even her friends just thought she was a little bit crazy with it. And literally, you know why it turned out in my defense? Literally just because I was such a player, like I was such a fuckboy, that I was already like, not just yet, but I was like flirting and eventually did go on to sleep with her best friend, who somewhat like, liked me, and there was like respect there and attraction there. That's probably the only reason why I didn't get like jailed for the shit that this one girl was saying about me, just because I was like flirty and like social with all of her friends. I would see them all in clubs, and so when I would see her and her friendship group, I would go in and already hug them and stuff, even before I got with this like one girl. And when like she started spreading these lies, and I saw text messages she was sending to people literally saying fucking horrible shit about me, falsely accusing me, I literally remember being so fucking like, it almost feels like I've repressed that part of my life. It was a couple of months where like this shit was happening, and fuck, I'm anxious as fuck whilst I tell you this story. I just realized I've just started sweating like, fuck it, this is gross. You want to see what this shit does, bro? Fucking hell. I just started sweating like fucking loads, and like I was just like playing with my ring like this. Like I just got anxious as fuck thinking about this. Holy fuck, man. I remember I would always, like, I've been into red pill and reading like red pill stuff for many years, since I was about age 17. And one of the things I would hear off guys who are like older than me would be talking about things like this, like, getting like a guy getting falsely accused and getting put into prison with no proof, or even guys who are in prison then finally getting released from it when the woman would finally come out and say like, oh, she was lying about it because she just cheated on her boyfriend. So imagine like you hook up with a girl and she cheats on her boyfriend, and then she just suddenly like points at you and says, oh well, he raped me, no evidence, no nothing, boom, everyone's gonna believe her. I don't want to make you anxious, but like it is the sad state. Like a lot of people think that like the Western world is very like patriarchal, is very sexist towards women. I honestly think it's the other way around. I think women have a lot more power than men do, especially in the legal system. If a woman accuses you of something, bro, you are fucked. When I've read some statistics that if you're with your girlfriend in your house and she beats you and she assaults you and she hurts you and you call the police, you are more likely to be arrested than she is. Fucking hell, man. I'm covered in fucking sweat. I need you guys watch this for like a couple of minutes. Just give me like 2 minutes.
If this happens to a normal person, their life would be over. It's scary. Okay, it's happened to me and I can deal with it, but it could happen to somebody else. And it's genuinely a scary thought. It's absolutely not really not true. I have no criminal charges. There's no charges at all against me. I have not hurt any women. No women are coming forward saying Andrew hit me. Zero. The only video of me and a woman in consensual acts, she came forward and said it was a game. There's nothing on the internet from any woman saying that Andrew is a bad person and misogynist, he did this to me. Not one. It's just misunderstood clips on TikTok. It's crazy to me that I've become the face of evil with misunderstood, out of context clips on TikTok with no criminal charges. There are very famous people who have much more, they have genuine criminal charges. There's very famous people who have genuine accusations. They're still on Instagram. I have none of these things. None. I understand that social media companies feel responsible for the national consciousness and the national opinions and actions because of their large levels of influence. However, I don't think it's fair that I'm being vilified and blamed for something that isn't true or wasn't even me. I need to seriously analyze if it's possible for me to even have a social media presence for any longer without it being weaponized and used against me. I would like to think that Instagram have their finger on the pulse of the world and that they're reactive and adaptive regarding how people view certain issues and people. I'd like to think that they're very fair and unbiased and that they understand that in time, when the truth is shown about my positivity and my positive impact on the world, the Tate Foundation, all the amazing things we're going to be doing for men and women, over time they'll understand that there's no reason for me to not be on the platform. I understand if I'm going to continue on social media, I need to be a lot more careful with my content. Not because I'm saying bad things, but because I'm saying things that could be used against me. I want to dedicate this YouTube channel, any other remaining social medias I have, my email list, and my Instagram at some point in the future, to the Tate Foundation and speak purely about the positivity I'm doing for the world. Because in the meantime, and at least for the next few months or years, it's going to be very difficult to talk bad about me when people only see the money I'm donating and how I'm helping people. And I don't just give money in a very lazy, charitable way. I get up in my car, I go on the ground, I help people myself.
I drove my Rolls Royce to Ukraine. I bought hundreds of coats and shoes for women and children fleeing the conflict. I didn't film the refugees. I hate when people do that.
So we'll be documenting that. I think it's a good way for people to start to learn about the truth. I'm really relieved this happened. I feel good. I feel happy. I don't think I could have got everybody's attention without this. I don't think I would have had a chance to make a clean break and a clean start and explain the truth of my character and my heart without this. I think that if I was never banned, I would have kept trying to tell the truth and my haters would have kept ignoring it and kept making negative videos about me, and it would have spiraled out of control until someone in my family was hurt or an attempt was made on my life. Any of my serious fans who have watched all my content know that I've had attempts on my life before, way before YouTube, 10 or 15 years ago. It's something I intimately understand, life and death. And it's not something I wish to revisit. I feel the hate around me was being accelerated to a point of danger for myself and my loved ones. So I'm very glad this happened because I feel like I now have a chance to tell the truth. And I also feel like the social media companies are very understanding of their responsibilities and will always reflect national consciousness. And as people understand the truth about me and my heart, their opinions about me will change also. You know, the Bible is full of redemption stories. So are superhero movies, right? The guy starts off bad and then turns good. Or the guy that you think is a bad guy turns out to be a good guy with good intentions all along. He was just misunderstood. I feel like the human psyche is very intrinsically understanding of these narratives and stories. I think people understand a redemption arc. They can understand when they retrospectively look back on certain events or actions or words, and with their new understanding of his actual intentions, everything looks different. They look back and go, oh, now I know who he truly is. I understand what he meant by that. Now I know who he truly is. I understand why that was said. And everything changes. I truly believe that this is a chance for me to move my social media purely to my charitable acts. Even if my Instagram is reinstated, it's only going to be about the Tate Foundation. There'll be no pictures of Bugattis anymore. Sorry, gentlemen. And it allows me to conduct my philanthropy in the physical world as opposed to so much in the digital world trying to inspire men. It's an avenue change. It's a life path change that God has chosen for me. And I'm happy with that. I really am not the type of person to take these things personally. I don't take any of these decisions personally. I'm a very logical man. I'm very good at seeing both sides of the argument. I understand the situation I'm in intimately. I completely understand all points of view. And this redemption arc, this chance to tell the world the truth about me and focus on showing the good that I have already been doing before these bans, when I didn't want likes, when I didn't want clicks, and also undoing all the negative narratives which I've allowed to spiral out of control because I trusted in people to do their own research and come to their own truthful conclusions. I realize now that this is a fantastic chance for me. It's a massive opportunity. I'm still going to tell the truth about who I am, about what I believe, about how I believe a man should act. I'm still going to tell people and inspire people to stay away from low quality people.
If you're struggling to find quality men to be friends with, maybe you're not quality man. Every relationship in the world, including friendships, are mutual. Because if you're a quality person, you meet quality people. Male and female, that's how it goes.
I never would only talk negatively about women. I talk negatively about men all the time. I told people, don't have friends who just smoke drugs and play video games. You need friends who are going to inspire you to push yourself to be the best man you can. I'm a massive anti-drug advocate. The worst experiences in my life revolved around other people either taking or selling drugs and trying to hurt me because of it. I've never taken drugs in my life. I've never even tried cocaine, never tried a single smoke of weed in my life ever. I'm massively anti-drugs. But when I do videos saying to men, avoid men who take drugs, avoid men who are disloyal, nobody comments on it. But if I say avoid having a girlfriend who takes drugs, avoid having a girlfriend who's disloyal, People call me a misogynist. It's not about gender. I'm just trying to teach people to stay.
That's a very good point. Very, very good point. You really can't say anything negative towards, not even towards women, but just somewhat about women. Like, especially when I've made videos saying, here's some like red flags about women, and I got like a lot of hate for that, and people saying I'm a misogynist and I'm sexist and everything. Like, you know, I criticize women, but like I criticize men in every single fucking video that I make. Every video that I make is me criticizing you and saying that you're not good enough. And then a few times I've made videos about women and saying like, oh, you know, probably shouldn't date a girl who's, you know, who's doing this and this and this. Yeah.
Stay away from low quality toxic people and just try and elevate themselves and create their reality to be around high quality people and positive people, male or female. There's no gender associated. It's only the fact that the media, these people chopping my videos up, whoever they are, taking it out of context and only focusing on the times women were mentioned, which is a very small percentage, 2 or 3% of my overall content, and ignoring all the time I said the exact same thing about men, all the times I loved women, and purporting this view. And I feel like this ban is a hard reset I needed to tell the truth. So for that, I'm thankful. I'm very, very thankful for that. What's next for Top G? Well, as I've said, I have built my dream life. I have everything I've ever wanted. I've done that with the tenets that I've been teaching the people who follow me. I've been teaching you the mental fortitude you need to truly have your dream life. I was talking to Aiden Ross on his stream, and he said, have you completed the game? And I guess in a way I have.
And do you feel like you've beaten the game?
Oh no, I've hacked the Matrix and completely beaten the game. I have everything I've ever wanted. I don't need anything else. All that's left for me to do is have a positive impact on the world. I don't think anybody truly wants to go down as a villain. Maybe some people do. I don't. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to stick up for myself, to be strong, to be commanding, but I was raised to do the right thing. And that's why, as I stated, I have no criminal record. I stay away from drugs. There's a lot of people on social media with large criminal records who advocate drug use. I think that's far more dangerous for society than me. And once again, they have absolute exposure to the world. I want to run the Tate Foundation, and I would love to do it without any social media. I will be detailing on my email list all of my charitable donations, all of the orphanages I'll be building, pictures, financial evidence, receipts. Please go to CobraTate.com and sign up to the newsletter. It's free, and I'll be letting people know the positive impact I'm going to be having on the world. The fame I've amassed has also managed to help me amass hundreds of millions of dollars, and I don't need all of it. So I'm going to use it for positive causes. In regards to social media, I need to sit and think and work out a way that not a single snippet of my words can ever be used against me. And even though I consider myself a wordsmith, that is a very, very difficult objective to complete. And I'm going to think about how I can possibly do that. So while I'm thinking, any remaining social media channels will be dedicated towards charity. If I start a new Instagram, it's only going to be dedicated towards the charitable side of the Tate Foundation. I hold no ill will against any social media platforms. I hold no ill will against any of the people who hate me or who have tried to spread lies about me. I truly pray for you all. I think that to be a person filled with so much hate that you think making videos insulting a man and encouraging your viewers to go and insult him and his deceased father and his family members, I think that is a horrible way to live. I would never want to experience that level of hate in my heart. The people who are making endless videos celebrating my ban or talking hate about me, that hate is never going to satisfy you. You need to learn to let go and live with a heart filled with love. You need to be content with yourself, because if you're obsessed with trying to hate on another person, the poison's inside of you. It's not inside of me. It doesn't affect me as much as it affects you. You can't feel hatred for somebody without it affecting your mood. So this is something for you guys to address, and I genuinely pray for you. I have no ill will against any of my haters. I have no ill will against any social media companies. I have no ill will against anybody. To follow me and keep up with me, please sign up to the newsletter on CobraTake.com. Anybody who would like to send me a message of support, I've already had hundreds of thousands already. Thank you guys so much. It's very reassuring to me in times like this to hear from all of you, letting me know that I saved you from depression, that I helped you feel better about yourselves. I'm the reason your marriage is working. I inspired you to send your son to the gym. I love hearing these things. And you can send me an email at the email address below, tate@CobraTake.com. Please send it to me. I really love hearing these things. And knowing I had such a positive impact on the world is what's allowed me to ignore so much of this hate storm that's been purported. My social media presence is something that, if it remains, will be curated in a way that it's nearly impossible to be seen as a negative for the world. I'm a force for positivity and I'm a force for truth. This is the truth of my nature and the truth of my name. Anybody who wants to comment or to reach out to me, you can find ways to do that. Any media organizations who would like to speak to me, you can do that through there's various PR companies who want to represent me. There'll be ways of contacting me. But I just want the world to know, in my final statement, that if you're a supporter of mine, and I know most of you are, please explain the truth in a respectful manner. Telling these hate-filled people that they're wrong and calling them names won't help. These people are not happy people, because happy people don't act that way. Tell them the truth. Show them that the content is out of context. Show them the long format content. Say all the ways I've helped you. And I really believe by being a genuinely professional, logical, positive person, you guys can change public consciousness for me. And time is a beautiful thing. It's amazing how things change with time. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my fantastic life, which I've managed to build with all of the tenacity and mental strength that I try and teach my fans. You know how to reach me. And I'll finish with a quote from my late father. My unmatched perspicacity, coupled with sheer indefatigability, makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor.
Are you trying to keep up being like as viral as you are forever? Or not forever, but like for...
This is stage one of a 3-step plan. So I'm going to be viral for a little bit longer, then step 2 begins. The conquest is continuing.
So this is just the beginning. Because like a lot of
world.
people are saying like you're going to fall off soon. This is just your
Sure,
15 minutes.
No problem.
What's your take on that?
That's fine.
What do we think about that, boys? Stage 1 complete. So what stage 2 do we think? I wonder what stage 2 is going to be. I'm quite interested. My guess is we're not going to hear too much other than like quite positive kind of charitable acts and everything. Maybe for 6 months, maybe for a year, maybe for 2 years. Maybe there's a new social media coming out soon. We got to get Andrew Tate, Sneeko. We got to get everyone onto First Man's platform. Just have like a completely separate platform which isn't at risk of being like banned or anything like that.